Welcome everybody to this information session. As Natasha mentioned already, my name is Jorma Neuvonen and I work in the Faculty of Forestry as Assistant Dean for Professional Education. And in that role, I'm overseeing the development and delivery of our professional education programs. First of all, I want to acknowledge that the UPC Vancouver campus, where I am sitting right now, is on the traditional, ancestral and unceded territory of the Musqueam people. The other acknowledgement I wanted to make also is that the development of this climate vulnerability and adaptation micro-certificate program was funded by the BC Ministry of Advanced Education and Skills Development. So we have our whole program team here present today ready to answer your questions later on. So our instructors, Dr. Sari Andrews-Key is adjunct professor at UPC Forestry. She has a very diverse and extensive background in various facets of the forestry sector, with over 25 years of experience in Canada. Her special focus is on climate change, vulnerability and risk assessment and development and implementation of adaptation, and also building the business case for adaptation for industry, government, private landowners, communities, and other stakeholders. Sari has been leading large-scale climate vulnerability assessments with the applied approach to adaptation and the development of business case for adaptation. And Sari will be teaching 3 of the required courses in this micro-certificate and one of the elective courses. Dr. Tongli Wang is associate professor at the Faculty of Forestry. Tongli works in developing climate and ecological models for forest adaptations to climate change. And he has been played a leading role in developing climate models like Climate BC and Climate North America, which have been widely used in British Columbia and in North America. He has also been working on climate niche models for forest ecosystems and tree species to serve as a basis for assisted migration at the species level, and he has also been building climate response functions for assisted gene flow at the population level. And Tongli will be teaching the course on climate modeling for this micro-certificate program. Michelle Cheng manages our educational strategies and provides also support to our faculty members on online teaching. Her education and work background is on educational technologies and especially on online learning. UPC Forestry has been developing online courses for the last 6 years, and the quality and the impact of these courses was recognized by the International Union of Forest Research Organization in a World Conference last year in Brazil. Michelle has been really had the key role of overseeing the development of these resources. So she has done a tremendous amount of work in improving our online resources. Last March, when the pandemic started and we had to shift all our teaching to online format, we really realized that we have to invest much more time and money to make sure that we can still offer good quality education to our students. And I'm very proud to say that we are one of the leading faculties at UPC with online learning technologies and pedagogies. I never took an online course during my education, and I had to admit that a long time I was quite a big skeptic about them compared to classroom teaching. But what I have been seen happening in our faculty during the last year has totally convinced me that the online education works. Many of you already know University of British Columbia UPC is a global center for research and teaching, and we are consistently ranked among the top 20 public universities in the world. We are a large university. We are the second largest university in Canada with over 27,000 students, and they come from 140 different countries. The UPC Faculty of Forestry itself is the largest forestry faculty in North America, with its 80 professors and over 1,500 students. And our faculty is consistently ranked among the top forestry schools, among the top 3 forestry schools in the world. Very briefly about our professional education at our faculty. We naturally have all our undergraduate and thesis-based programs. But what we consider professional education are the programs that are aimed for working professionals and which can be accomplished within 1 year or less. So we have 4 master's programs: Sustainable Forest Management, Geomatics for Environmental Management, International Forestry, and our new program in Urban Forestry Leadership, which starts in September 2021. Also new program is our graduate certificate in forest management and conservation, which will be fully online, and that is starting also on September 2021. And the program what we are talking today, Micro-Certificate in Climate Vulnerability and Adaptation. So this is a non-credit certificate for working professionals who cannot leave their work for more intensive studies. And this is fairly new certificate type in UPC. According to new UPC policy, these take about 50 to 60 hours of student study time. And with that one, I will hand it over to Michelle to tell a little bit about our online learning programs.
Thanks, Yoma. Next slide, please. So it's very nice to see you all today. My name is Michelle Zhang, the Manager of Educational Strategies, providing teaching and learning support in our faculty. So I will briefly talk about how the online learning experience will be in our CVA program with UPC Forestry. As Yoma mentioned, we have years of experience in running the award-winning online courses in the faculty, especially during this pandemic. UBC Forestry has made tremendous investment and efforts to improve our online teaching and enhance our students' learning experience online. Next, please. So in this CVA program, we understand that our target audience will be a group of busy working professionals. Some of you may have never experienced a fully online education program before and may have no idea of where to start. So we understand a neat and straightforward structure will really help navigate you through our online courses. So this slide shows precisely what you will see in the CVA online courses on the UBC Learning Management System. We call it Canvas. You'll be able to access all course materials, participate in the learning activities on Canvas. There are modules to guide you through what to do, what to read, and what to expect each week. We have also enabled features to keep you on track and find useful information from the courses on our Canvas. Next slide, please. So given our professional learners' busy schedule, we will offer the online courses flexibly and engagingly. Following the weekly timeline, you can start the course content at your own pace. In the meantime, you will have the opportunity to meet with our instructors and fellow learners virtually to discuss the case studies or share your real life experience on the course topics. All of those live sections, we also call them the virtual coffee hour, will be recorded and shared in the course to accommodate different time zone and various needs. So overall, we hope to bring you a pleasant and meaningful online learning experience in the CVA program. So next, I will hand it over to our program lead, Dr. Sherry Andrew Keith.
Thank you, Michelle and Yorma. Pleased that you could join us today about the micro-certificate that we're developing, or we have developed at UBC. So my name is Dr. Sherry Andrews-Key, and I actually work both in academics and also through work with industry, government, and communities on large scale vulnerability assessments and working with them to develop adaptation plans to actually implementing them to adaptation action on the ground. This is an exciting time in the area of climate change, and there's a real need that's been expressed by practitioners for training in these areas for real applied grounded application on the ground. Next slide, please. So this is a flexible 10-week online program. So it's actually 8 weeks of study time. And with the 10 weeks, we've built in breaks in there that coordinate with school breaks for children within the province of BC. And this is meant to accommodate those working professionals that also have other commitments with family, etc. And we understand that there's a need for that flexibility in order for you to be able to take a program like this. So the first session for this program runs from February to April 2021. And it's a practical applied application, which I mentioned earlier. And we're really focusing on taking the science and applying it in a real world context by providing you with case study examples that have happened, especially around Canada, but also in the US. I'll be bringing in leaders in the field for guest lectures throughout the different courses, and looking at adaptation action in the forest sector. And through this certificate, you'll be able to expand your professional toolkit and connect with other professionals that are taking the course, as well as connecting with other professionals that come in for the guest lectures. So there's a real opportunity for building your network. Next slide, please. So through this, we'll be looking at the role and application of climate change science, the models and frameworks in climate change vulnerability assessments. So the structured approach to the processes that you actually use and how to apply them and the processes in relevant applications to your profession. And so we'll learn how to also apply the results from vulnerability assessment processes, and how are they going to inform adaptation development within sustainable forest management systems, which also leads into best practices and to certification requirements as well. Also help you identify organizational capacity and other factors that affect how you develop adaptation. And adaptation happens at that regional and local context. So we'll understand, provide some understanding how to make it relevant to your circumstances. Next slide, please. So moving on with that, building on these courses through the 3 mandatory courses, you'll learn to identify proactively instead of looking at things reactively, which we've done as forest practitioners, looking at key risks and understanding how to address the vulnerability implications from climate change and what this means actually in a management context, and then how to mainstream and implement these on the ground. We'll also explore potential policy implications for adaptation and how this can affect and create potential challenges to implementation, and also what it comes down to for adaptation in the business case decision making and criteria that need to be considered to develop that in your context, and also to understand the principles and application of potential of the climate and ecological models. Next slide, please. So as Michelle mentioned earlier, this program requires a total of 4 courses to be taken. And each of the courses will be over a 2-week study time. And the entire program will take approximately 60 hours to complete. So roughly 15 hours for each course. Now that will be based on as well where you're at in terms of your understanding on climate vulnerability and adaptation as well. So that could vary depending on your experience. The program has 3 mandatory courses. And these courses include the climate change science application and vulnerability assessments, looking at climate change and the adaptive capacity within sustainable forest management, and climate change, adaptation, development, and implementation. And next slide, please. So with those 3 mandatory courses, then that leads you to choose one of the following electives, which would be from either the climate change vulnerability assessments, the policy implications and business case for adaptation, or climate and ecological modeling for adaptive forest applications. Next slide, please. So each of these courses is based on theory, academic theory, and the science. But what we do is really look at that theory and then say, okay, so we need to apply this in a management context. How do we actually do that? And make it relevant to what is happening on the ground in a management case studies, and using key lessons learned from people that have already been doing this work. Students can also choose to take individual courses throughout and receive course completion certificates. So what we mean by this is that we understand that there are challenges with other commitments in employment and personal commitments. So if it does not accommodate your schedule to take all 4 courses for the certificate completion within one session, then you have the option to register for individual courses in different sessions. And then once you fully complete the 4 courses within a 2-year time frame, you will receive the certificate for the entire program. And it's really important to understand each of these courses, the mandatory ones, to take them in order, because they build the foundational pieces for the next course, because it's a very structured process when you're doing vulnerability and risk assessment and adaptation development. So we highly recommend taking the 3 mandatory courses in order. Next slide, please. So timeline to completion, as we mentioned, there's flexibility to set your own timeline within a maximum of 2 years. So for example, say you could only fit in the first 2 courses within your schedule for this session. You would be able to register for the next 2 courses that you would have to take to complete the certificate. You could register for one in the spring session, and you could register for the following one in the fall session. As long as you complete all 4 courses within a maximum 2-year time frame from when you register for your first course. So our first session will start, it's our winter session, and that'll be this one from February to April. We'll have a spring session that will go from May to July, and those dates will be posted soon on the UBC website. And then we'll also have the fall dates for September to November coming soon. Next slide. So for application, you can see that the web address is on the bottom. And this is a fully online format, as we've discussed. The schedule is there from February 15th through till April 30th, if you're completing all 4 courses. The applications have been open since December 17th, and the closing date for this first session is February 10th. Now, if you do register for the entire 4 courses in this session, you will receive a discount, and the tuition would be $2,400, and those are in Canadian funds. And if you just register for the individual courses over various sessions, the cost would be $650. Next slide, please. So all that being said, trying to give you sort of that overview in a nutshell, we'd be happy to open it up to questions, and you can ask your questions in person by raising the blue hand icon and unmuting yourself, or written questions in the chat box. And I'll turn it over to Michelle now. Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions? We do have questions in the chat box asking the recording of these sections. And yes, we will have the recording on our website. And also we will send out a recording link by email to all our registrants. Yeah. I know, Sherry, you may have already received a lot of different questions from our registrants, so maybe you can start by answering some of them. Oh, you are muted.
Oh, sorry. A couple of the questions that people have asked is about flexibility in terms of timing during each of the 2 weeks session or courses. So all materials and content for the courses will be available on Canvas online for you to access within your own time during that 2-week session. And all live sessions, discussions or guest lectures that we have going on, they will actually be recorded as well. Michelle mentioned that earlier. Be recorded and available if you cannot make the live session. So you won't miss out on anything. There's always the opportunity, because we understand that this needs to be flexible and robust for the working professional, which this is geared towards. Do we have any other questions coming up, Michelle?
Yeah. Eric, yeah.
Erica, hi everyone, good morning. Thanks for the overview. That was really comprehensive. And I think a lot of my questions were actually answered through the presentation. Just a few additional ones. One is, and I did join a little late, so sorry if you covered this, but like I myself am coming from a very urban context, a very small, dense city with a big urban forestry ambition. And I just wanted to get a sense from the group, how would you describe the course in terms of, is it geared towards more urban, peri-urban, or kind of rural and natural settings? If you could give a good sense of that, that would be helpful.
Hey, thanks for your question, Erica. I've actually worked in urban forestry myself with process and the frameworks that we will be using in the course content, they can be applied in both an urban or at a community forest level. They could be applied within a park environment. They can be applied at small woodlots. It's very scalable. And so in the vulnerability assessment theory, they're all built upon the same guiding principles. And I have actually used this framework in a number of different contexts, and from large scale industrial forestry all the way to communities, and to you could apply it in an urban forest context as well.
Great, thanks. My next question is this the first session, this one coming in the winter ever?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And the next question is, when do you have to pick the elective? Like, can you sort of get through one or two of the foundation courses and then decide on which direction you want to go in, or do you have to decide that from the get-go?
Well, from my understanding, and Michelle can add to this, you can pick it at the beginning, because then you get your discount if you're registering in all 4 of the courses. But you have the option that if you want to change it and switch to one or the other, that you can do that. I think it's within 4 to 5 days before the start of that course.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, great. And then just a couple more questions on structure. So someone had also asked the same question. How many students are you enrolling per session? Is there a limit?
I'll let Jorma answer that one.
Well, we are aiming to 25 to 30 students, but if there's some more people coming, we can certainly scale up, but that is what we are aiming this first time. So it gives that kind of group is still manageable, and during the coffee discussions, it's you have more chances to ask questions. So I think that is the like our optimal group size for this first time.
Okay, great. And then Sherry, are you teaching? Are you kind of leading on all the 5 of the course options?
I'm leading on 4 of the course options, and the climate modeling and that I believe Dr.
Tong Li will be teaching that one.
Tong Li will be teaching that one.
Okay, you guys don't have to draw straws. It's all set. Okay, and last question, sorry, is the just a little bit more on the structure. So you mentioned, I think 50 hours, no, 60 hours total. So 15 hours per course. So how is that broken up in terms of the actual online time? How long are the I guess lectures or presentations, however you guys are or whatever you're calling that?
Well, the lectures and presentations, like some of them are going to be pre-recorded and then some of them will be live. There won't be any that will be longer than 1 hour. All live sessions will only be an hour in length, and then there will be other content like for what to read, what to watch. We're combining different videos and different podcasts, and then some of the reading materials. So being very cognizant of other obligations that professionals have, we're balancing out that approach so that it would be approximately 7 to 8 hours of time per week for you to complete the content.
Okay.
That
And
would be at your own time. Like you would have the flexibility within that time frame to work on those pieces.
great, thank you.
Thank you, Erica, for your suite of questions. I do notice another questions regarding the coffee hours. So I can briefly answer that, and maybe Sherry can add more on that. So as we mentioned, we are hoping to give them the most flexibility to our working professionals. So we haven't scheduled or fixed the coffee hours time at now, and we are hoping to open up for your options. So we may have the sign-up sheet in every course and let students to choose the date and time that applicable for them, and then we will make a decision. And if you are too busy to join in any section, we will still offer the recording in the course so that you can revisit them and see and watch what's the conversation during the coffee hours. And Vivian.
Hi, everybody. I'm Vivian Forsman. I'm the program lead for the Adaptation Learning Network. And of course, we've provided some funding to get one of these courses underway, and we're really excited to see this shift into a micro-credential. We have a new project that we're initiating, and Jorma, we're going to talk about this tomorrow, I think. We are doing a evaluation of how these kinds of courses line up with credentialing expectations from professional associations. So I'm interested to know whether, I know that ABCFP, the Association of BC Forest Professionals, is aware of this. I'm wondering if you've done any alignment yet with their accreditation processes to make sure that people coming out with this micro-credential, that it's acknowledged and recognized by the, for example, ABCFP.
We have been certainly discussing this with the ABCFP, and they are very excited to have this course offered to their members, and they acknowledge that these are they provide continuation education credits for the members if they do this certificate. So yes, we have had this discussion, and Sherry has had several meetings with them during the course development also. So they have been giving us also quite a bit of feedback during the development phase about the content and learning objectives. So Sherry, I don't know if you have anything else to say about that.
Also, we've had meetings with the BC government and Diane Nichols, the Chief Forester for BC, with her executive group, and they're very supportive of the program and the pieces in focusing on the application and that as well. And then Canadian Forest Service and Natural Resources Canada are aware of this, and the Forestry Adaptation Working Group, along with the Sustainable Forestry Initiative and other certification bodies, as well as other professional forestry associations across Canada.
Okay, thank you. And we look forward to working with all of you, Sherry, Michelle, Jorma, to move this thing into the structure. This is part of the new challenge of micro-credentials, is making sure that these credentials actually align with professional associations. And so we'll discuss that more, but I applaud you for getting this underway, and it looks fabulous.
Thank you so much, Vivian. And we are very happy to have you be one of our partners. Thank you. So another questions in the chat box from Diana, will the material in the course be applicable to other sectors besides forestry, for example, climate risk in the Arctic? So Sherry, you may be able to answer that.
So when we're looking at the climate science piece, it doesn't matter, like we'll be giving examples in a forestry context, of course, but it won't be specific, like it'll include BC, but it's not just BC. With the approach and the tools and the case studies that we're presenting, these are elements that you can actually take and apply in a number of different resource contexts for management. So it's not specific to BC, even though there will be some focus on BC forestry, but there will be pieces from other areas, and the tools themselves are very transferable, so that you could take them and use them in other locations. And this is just not within Canada or North America, but can be used in other parts of the world. And to give you an example, the framework that I work with, we're actually adapting it and applying it in a Chilean context as well, with both their natural forests and their plantation forests in some other research that I'm part of. So all of these elements are going to be part of what is presented to you in these courses.
Okay. Another question, can you provide a course with free of cost for international students? Yoma?
Unfortunately not. So we have to put resources available for this program development, and then also when we are delivering programs. So it's unfortunately we cannot offer the program for free.
Mm-hmm. Another one, are the models being used in the course readily available for use outside of the courses? I believe both Sherry and Tony can answer that question, because I know their models have been very practical and have been used in many sectors already. So I will pass it to both of you.
So for the models and frameworks that I use, they're freely available and can be used. For my models, they're conceptual frameworks. So these are things that you don't need any type of special computer programming or systems to use, and you can scale them up and down. So they're very transferable.
Okay. For my part, and climate models, they are freely available online, but I also often get a lot of questions how to use it. Although the instruction is there, but in many cases, people still get confused. I think this course will help people to learn that. Also, for the ecological models, they are available, but scattered here and there. I organized it in a systematic way. So how to apply this to forest ecosystem species. You know, those principles are pretty general to all the organisms. We also apply this model to birds and other organisms. Also even forest fire. Yeah, so they have a pretty generic application.
Okay, thank you, Tony, and thank you, Sherry. Another question, how many sections will be run per year and during what periods? We will have 3 sections per year. And in terms of the period, we can go back to the slides so that we can have our audience to clearly understand which period the program will be offered. So Bang, if possible, you can go back to the slide to show the program offering.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as Michelle told, so we are offering this 3 times a year. So this is the first session runs from February to April, then May to July during what we call the summer term in the university. We offer the same 4 courses again, and again in the fall term. And then the following year, that is also the goal, that if everything goes as planned, we will be offering them next year during the same times.
Okay. Next question, is there relevance to engineers and geoscientists working in the forest sector? Sherry?
Yes, there is. So with the pieces, there's a lot of climate change impacts that are happening with access and with stability issues and like things like that have to be dealt with, you know, that from an engineering perspective. And those are actually a lot of the issues that are the current sort of current priorities with forest industry partners that I've been working with right now. So we do a lot of work on looking at how to fit the adaptation into the building of roads, bridges, access issues, and all those different pieces. So it does have relevance in that context. And if you want, you can contact me separately and we can discuss it further.
Okay. The last question so far, will you be using the CCFM Climate Change Vulnerability Assessment Framework as a basis for the process, or are you going to discuss other approaches as well?
I will be using the CCFM approach, but we will also be looking at other approaches as well, to give you a breadth of different frameworks that you can use.
Thank you. And thank you, Vivian, for sharing us with more information on the Adaptation Learning Networks courses in the chat box. So if anyone also interested about that, please feel free to check it out. Any other questions?
Yeah, you can also unmute yourself and ask the question. So if there's still a few questions.
Mm-hmm. Okay, another one. Would the ecological modeling course cover site productivity type considerations, Tom Lee?
Yes. The ecological model have two levels. One is at a species level. This is for suitability of the species as a whole. And another level is at the population levels. The response functions and the transfer function that will reflect the growth potentials.
Thank you, Tony.
Yes, Michelle, if I may, I just want to, for anybody who's interested, just to elaborate just a little bit on the applicability of the course material to other sectors. So I also work with these frameworks and have adapted them within mining and oil and gas sector. So these frameworks are very transferable, and the content, the way that the program material is set up, can be applied in a number of different contexts in any type of land and resource management.
Yeah, thank you, Sherry. And do you see any additional questions that we haven't addressed in our list?
I haven't noticed any. I think we've
yeah, we should have covered most of the questions we got so far.
I think, yeah. And if, you know, if after this session things come up and you'd like more information, or you'd like to have more discussion about it, please feel free to reach out and connect with any one of us, and we'll do our best to help answer those.
So we still have time, so please feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions.
Sounds like, yeah, go ahead.
I've got it. One, I'd like to resonate with Krishna that the cost could be a little bit prohibitive for people working in forestry. We typically don't make as much as people in other sectors, but Vivian had a good point. If the course was recognized by the APCFP, I think it would change a lot of people's minds. And I understand that some employers can pay for courses if they're relevant to work. I think that would change a lot of people's mind as well.
So yes, I agree with that. And as Jorma mentioned earlier, we have been working with ABCFP on this, and this will be part of, recognized as continuing education, professional development. Also, there are some industry people that have actually already registered staff members for the course. And as you mentioned, they are recognizing the value in covering that additional training for their employees.
Yeah. Okay.
Hello, Del here. I would think that EGBC might also be interested in this kind of stuff. We have a climate change group there working on a lot of this. So I think to reach out to them might be very profitable.
Thanks, Del. We appreciate that.
Yeah, because this is just the very first offering, and it happens very fast. So many discussions and initiatives have still been underway, but we definitely will push and move from that direction and give more recognition for this program and to make more benefit to our participants. Okay. I
think one of the things too that's important to recognize is that through this course, we identify ways that you can actually mainstream this and use the tools that you already have. And a lot of this stuff, like through the practical and applied pieces, from work that I do with industry, is learning to use the tools that we already have and apply a climate lens to those, and not reinvent the wheel, but build and strengthen our capacity. Because those of you that are practitioners, land managers, and that out there, you know your systems very well. And you have a very resilient capacity. You already do adaptation. Sometimes you're doing adaptation, you don't even recognize that it's adaptation to climate change, because that's what we do as managers. And I have worked in the forest sector as a practitioner, and I understand, like, when you are there on the ground, and half the time these days you're wearing 5 different hats and have a number of different responsibilities, and to add climate change on top of that can seem quite overwhelming. So what we are doing through this certificate is to just help build your ability to be able to take tools and not feel overwhelmed to address this, and put them into existing systems that you already work within, and just increase your ability to do your best practices.
Thank you, Sherry. Yoma, I guess you may want to answer another question. How many applications do you currently have for the FAB section?
I haven't checked today, but I think yesterday maybe we had 8 applications, if I remember right. So we really started the marketing the program only effectively in the new year, so like the first week. So this is all very fast, happening very fast. So I think that in the next few weeks we are getting more applications. So please register early so that you get your spot in this first program.
Yeah, we actually do receive a lot of inquiries through Sherry and through our office, and we believe our spot will be selling very fast as the January move forward. So if anyone have any interest on our program, just feel free to send us email or inquiries, and we will answer that as soon as possible, and you can make your decision as early as possible. Okay.
Michelle, you are muted.
Sorry. So thank you so much. We have many comments from our participant, and I guess if no more questions, we may end this section.
Yes, thank you, everyone. As Sherry was saying earlier on, please connect with us. We are happy to answer all the questions by email. Or if you want to even have a Zoom meeting, I would be happy to do that. And I'm sure Sherry also to discuss that way as well. So yeah, this is a new thing for Faculty of Forestry, and we are very excited about it. And I know that both Sherry and Tongli know their stuff inside out, and I think it's going to be a very beneficial program for the working professionals. So thank you for coming today, and I think we let you go now to see how Joe Biden is doing in the south of the border.
Okay, thank you everyone, and have a nice day.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
looking forward to meeting.
Bye-bye.
Yes, looking forward to working with you.
Yeah.